Heaven's Door is one of Jojo's best known and most creative stands, but it's one of those stands in which its power opens up possibilities, but it has never been demonstrated or established the limit of that power. Let's understand in this video if Heaven's Door could create a stand. Hey guys, how are you? I hope you are well. Today we are going to try to understand the limits of Heaven's Door's power, and for those of you who don't know me yet, I am the Monio, the interdimensional demon that talks most about Jojo on YouTube, and you are on my channel. First, let's remember the ability of Heaven's Door, the stand of Rohan Kishibe. Its power is basically to turn people into a book, and once transformed into a book the person has all their information read by Rohan. He can also erase or information, and so giving orders to that person who is turned into a book, like not being able to attack Rohan for example. Even Heaven's Door has a very interesting characteristic, since it manages to seal the stand of another user. Rohan just writes that user can no longer use your stand, and that's it. The person will never be able to use your stand again unless that order is withdrawn somehow. But what is the limit of Heaven's Door's power? This stand was already able to take and return Koichi's vision, so we can assume that he could heal injuries or body disabilities to a certain extent. Rohan was also able to make Koichi speak another language he never had contact with, and that is stated at the beginning of Golden Wind, so we can also assume that Heaven's Door could give a person all the knowledge in the world, make him speak all the languages of the world, have infinite memory, among other things. But if we move on to more absurd things, would Heaven's Door be able to make someone fly, if that was written in their book? Could it make a person immortal, invisible, super fast, or any other superpower you can think of? Stand skills usually have very well established rules, and these rules are discovered by the user himself as he tests the stand. For example, Joseph can heal other people, but cannot heal himself, and Heaven's Door also have rules? Is it possible to do something that ignores the laws of physics with Heaven's Door? Maybe yes, maybe not. As much as there are stands that ignore the laws of physics, it is not possible to say that Heaven's Door does that, since Rohan never tested these limits, or if he tested it, it was not shown. But if it is possible to ignore the physics, this makes Heaven's Door one of Jojo's most powerful stands, and if that isn't possible, then we have a very big limitation of possibilities. But the Monio, what I want to know is Heaven's Door is able to create stands. And I answer you, I believe so. But before you curse me in the comments, listen to my arguments. You must be thinking that there are no stands that can give stands to someone, and I tell you that there is. The baby stand that would later become Sea Moon was created from another stand, so that is indeed possible. And let's remember that stands can be manipulated. Poochie's stand White Snake manages to store other stands on disks and thus take stands from users and give stands to people who are not originally stand users. So it is possible to both create stands and downloads for people who are not users. But the Monio, one thing is for you to manipulate the stand that already exists, or create the stand from the souls of the prisoners, and another is for you to actually generate a stand, and I tell you that yes, it's true, but Heaven's Door you can create things out of nothing. When Koichi learns a new language, a new skill is created from scratch by Heaven's Door, and that skill becomes part of Koichi. But the Monio, these are just simple feats. Heaven's Door has never been shown doing anything really powerful, and I tell you Heaven's Door has proven to be quite powerful. Yes, the one time Rohan used it on a girl and he stopped her before dying, the stand basically nullified her death process, even making her wound disappear and her soul returning to her body. So it's not so absurd to think that Heaven's Door could give stand powers to someone. But the Monio, the only way to gain stand powers in Rohan's universe is through arrows, and I tell you, not necessarily, since there are users who were born with their stands because their parents were also users. There are also the cases in which someone acquires a stand and everyone who has direct blood ties with that person starts to manifest the ability automatically regardless of the distance, as is the case with all members of the Joestar family who are alive in Part 3, and if we think, well, in the way they acquired the stands, we will realize that the process is a little abstract, being almost something magical. And as much as you want to use the argument that the powers of the stain are something scientific because it is an alien virus, it doesn't make sense for the virus to be able to infect everyone in the same family at once, regardless of distance. So it's much more logical to think of stain abilities as something like triggers that just need to be activated on individuals to manifest. So I believe it's reasonable to think that Heaven's Door would be able to give stains to someone, since Heaven's Door can completely manipulate the individual, even manipulating their soul. But the Monio, your arguments failed to convince me, and I tell you that it's okay. This is just a theory. Talk a little about what you believe to be the limit of Heaven's Door's powers in the comments. And if you like the video, sign up to follow the next content. Until next time, my people, demonic hugs.